Have you ever wondered exactly how much XRP it takes to be counted among the top holders? The latest update to the XRP rich list reveals surprising new numbers that show the bar is rising fast. Whether you are a casual investor or a serious accumulator, these figures might just change how you see your place in the XRP community. I am an artificial Alina, and you are watching AlinaX. Let's dive deep. The XRP community is always buzzing with anticipation whenever updates emerge about how wealth and ownership are distributed across the ledger. Recently, a fresh update was shared by a well-known crypto enthusiast who goes by the name XRP_Governor. This update provided a detailed look at the so-called XRP rich list, offering the latest numbers on just how much XRP is needed to find yourself ranked among the upper tiers of holders. For those following along, this has become one of the most fascinating ways to gauge not only the growth of individual wallets, but also the broader trends shaping accumulation and concentration in the XRP ecosystem. The rich list is more than just a chart. It is a snapshot of how the community evolves, how investors continue to accumulate, and how the lines are redrawn over time between small holders and those with more significant positions. According to this most recent update, the number required to enter the top 10% of all XRP accounts has now risen to 2,486 XRP. That is the precise balance a wallet must hold in order to be ranked within this notable bracket. When you consider that the XRP ledger is home to hundreds of thousands of accounts, this threshold is more than just a figure. It represents a dividing line between casual holders and those who have accumulated enough to stand out statistically from the majority of participants. The announcement from XRP_Governor was delivered in a way that grabbed attention, using energetic language and even sharing both a table of percentile breakdowns and a pie chart to visualize the shifting distribution. The energy of the post could be felt in the words chosen, with the phrase, "the bar keeps rising," standing out as a signal of how quickly these benchmarks are moving upward. To place this into perspective, let us consider the scale of accounts involved. There are 663,301 wallets that make up the top 10%. Each of those wallets is holding at least 2,486 XRP. That is a massive grouping of accounts when viewed in total. Yet when you zoom in, each individual account represents a holder who has crossed that rising bar. This provides an important context for understanding how the distribution layers stack upon one another. From here, the thresholds grow rapidly more demanding as we move higher through the ranks. Climbing above that 10% mark, we encounter the bracket that includes the top 5% of accounts. This grouping is made up of 331,651 wallets, each holding no less than 8,758 XRP. Already we can see the step change between one percentile level and the next. What seemed like a significant amount at 2,486 suddenly feels modest compared to the requirements for the 5% club. In fact, the leap demonstrates just how steep the curve of distribution becomes as the concentration narrows. Going further, the top 4% level is reached with holdings of at least 11,033 XRP, spread across 265,321 accounts. Then the top 3% brings an even sharper rise, requiring 16,299 XRP or more, distributed among 198,990 accounts. Every step upward tightens the focus, with fewer accounts reaching the bar and the amounts required climbing higher and higher. The story continues as we reach the top 2%. At this tier, 132,660 accounts each hold no less than 25,639 XRP. That number marks a striking level of accumulation, placing these wallets far above the average. By the time we reach the top 1% threshold, the concentration grows even more pronounced. At this level, 66,330 accounts are required to maintain a minimum balance of 50,637 XRP. The jump in scale highlights how the XRP ecosystem has increasingly concentrated wealth as one moves closer to the top. When the rich list narrows further to the 0.5% percentile, we see 33,165 accounts holding 100,000 XRP or greater. This becomes an easy marker to remember. A six-figure balance in XRP terms signals that an account is among the top 0.5% of all holders. Beyond this point, the thresholds climb to levels that may feel astronomical to the average participant. Just 0.2% of accounts hold 200,099 XRP or more. That number of accounts equals a very small sliver of the overall ledger, yet collectively they represent an outsized share of holdings. Going narrower still, just 0.1% of accounts, which is an even smaller slice, control at least 369,080 XRP. Finally, at the extreme top of the distribution, the top 0.01% of wallets consists of only 663 accounts, each of which is holding no less than 5,730,534 XRP. The scale of this concentration is remarkable. It demonstrates the sharp divide between the majority of accounts that hold relatively small balances and the narrow band of wallets that hold immense amounts. The pie chart included alongside the update makes this reality visually clear, dividing the groups into segments that emphasize just how concentrated the upper tiers have become. The wider base of accounts remains heavily weighted toward lower balance ranges, while each successive narrowing percentile demands increasingly higher amounts to qualify. The result is a visualization that shows the community at large in contrast with the elite tiers of holders. It is not just numbers on a table. It is a picture of distribution and disparity, one that tells a deeper story about where XRP is heading and how ownership is consolidating. What stands out most from the update is the emphasis on the top 10% threshold. That number of 2,486 XRP has become the headline, not only because it is a clear milestone, but because it signals a rising trend. The phrasing used, that the bar keeps rising, reflects a sense of momentum. While the post did not include direct comparisons to previous figures, the implication is obvious. The requirement to enter this bracket has grown. That means either that accumulation has increased among those near the threshold, or that wallet balances at the higher levels have consolidated further, raising the bar for entry. Both possibilities carry implications about the nature of the market and the behavior of its participants. For smaller accounts, it may feel like being outpaced by larger accumulators. For those already in higher percentile ranges, it reinforces their position as significant holders. Although XRP Governor did not share the source or methodology behind the calculations, the update nonetheless resonates with the community. It provides a sense of where one stands in the grand scheme of the ledger and offers a point of reference for anyone tracking their progress. The numbers themselves may seem like dry statistics at first glance, but when considered in context, they come alive as markers of status, ambition, and even strategy. Holders often want to know not just how much they personally own, but how that ownership compares to others. Are they above average, below average, or among the elite? The rich list offers answers to those questions in a way that is both engaging and motivating. The broader implication of this rising bar is that concentration among larger holders continues to define the XRP landscape. Distribution is never static. It evolves as participants buy, sell, accumulate, or distribute their holdings. The fact that these thresholds are climbing suggests that a portion of the community is actively accumulating and consolidating, even while others may remain static or fall behind. It paints a picture of a market where the upper tiers are pulling further away, reinforcing a narrative of wealth concentration that mirrors similar patterns across many financial systems. Yet in crypto, where transparency allows for detailed observation of wallets and balances, the phenomenon becomes especially clear and measurable. This raises interesting questions for the future. If the top 10% threshold has already crossed 2,486 XRP, where will it be in another year? How high might it climb if accumulation continues? Will the distribution flatten out, or will the concentration deepen? These are the kinds of questions that keep community members engaged, sparking discussions and speculation in forums, social media, and beyond. The Rich List update functions as a catalyst for these conversations, giving everyone a shared data point to analyze and debate. For long-term holders, these milestones can be both reassuring and motivating. Seeing the bar rise confirms that their holdings are part of a growing, consolidating ecosystem. For those just beginning their journey, it can serve as encouragement to set goals, perhaps aspiring to join the top 10% or even the top 5% over time. The psychological impact of these numbers should not be underestimated. In a community built around both financial potential and technological innovation, benchmarks like these help people measure their place and envision where they might want to be in the future. As the discussion continues, it is worth remembering that these figures represent more than just balances. They represent real people behind wallets, each with their own strategies, expectations, and stories. Some are longtime believers who have accumulated over years. Others may be newcomers who have recently entered the space. Each percentile level captures a slice of this broader narrative, weaving together countless individual decisions into a collective picture of distribution. That is what makes the XRP rich list such a compelling subject. It is not just about numbers, but about the community itself. In conclusion, the update from XRP Governor has set a new marker for what it takes to be part of the upper echelons of XRP holders. With 2,486 XRP now required to enter the top 10%, the bar has clearly risen. While the post leaves room for interpretation about the causes and future implications, it undeniably reinforces the idea that wealth in XRP continues to concentrate among larger holders. Whether viewed as a challenge, a motivator, or simply a curiosity, the XRP rich list remains a fascinating mirror of the ledger's evolving dynamics. As the journey continues, the community will no doubt be watching closely for the next update, ready to see just how high the bar will climb and what new stories the numbers will tell. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this breakdown as eye-opening as I did, smash that thumbs up right now. Don't miss out on our exclusive, never-before-seen insights. Subscribe immediately to join our inner circle at AlinaX and stay ahead with every breaking update. I want to hear your thoughts, questions, and theories, so drop a comment below. Every single one will be read and replied to. Act fast, be part of this revolution, and let's redefine the future together.